Hello and good evening. You are watching Newsplus right here on ZTN Prime. It is a Monday, the 9th of June 2025, and here's to hoping that you did have a restful and productive weekend. For some stories making the headlines tonight. President Mnangagwa today met a delegation from the International Monetary Fund. Stay tuned to Newsplus as we give you reactions from the IMF on Zimbabwe's fiscal reforms. The Traffic Safety Council has begun the process to procure breathalyzers as authorities ramp up efforts to rein in drunken drivers. We look at how loan sharks are taking advantage of Zimbabweans as the country is experiencing a credit crunch. And stay tuned for our look at sports news as we preview the Warriors' friendly match against Niger. Coach Michael Nees says his charges are ready for battle. My name is Faith Nyaude, and here are your stories in detail. President Mnangagwa today met with a delegation from the IMF at the State House as Zimbabwe enters the fourth phase of its staff-monitored program, first adopted in the year 2019. The IMF praised progress on fiscal reforms and inflation control, but urged continued efforts to achieve economic stability and clear debt arrears. Ibn Mabunda was at State House and compiled the following story.
Now, President Emmerson Mnangagwa today hosted a delegation from the International Monetary Fund that's in the country to assist Zimbabwe with the IMF staff monitored program. Key on the agenda is the subject of arrears clearance, fiscal consolidation, as well as macroeconomic stability. Zimbabwe's engagement under the staff monitored program began in earnest 6 years ago. Now in its fourth phase, the program serves as a tool for government to build a track record of policy implementation without access to IMF financial support. The current review includes close scrutiny of public finances, inflation control and governance.
Which has come here for two main purposes. One is to have the Article 4 consultations of the state of the economy, to talk about the development trajectory.
The IMF commended Zimbabwe for policy progress made to date, citing improved fiscal management, lower inflation trends, and enhanced transparency in public accounts, while calling for continued reforms to consolidate gains.
We're also looking at the broader prospects for Zimbabwe's development, economic development, and we've been discussing various structural reforms that would help make sure that the development that we are seeing so far is entrenched.
Zimbabwe's reform agenda is now focused on clearing long-standing arrears and gaining access to concessional financing. The government says the SMP gives confidence to international partners.
Then the second issue is to talk about the staff monitored program, which is a critical step in our arrears clearance roadmap. Again, we've been discussing how to make sure that we maintain the fiscal discipline that we had initiated in the past, to make sure that it continues.
The IMF stresses the need for Zimbabwe to stay the course, urging deeper reforms and governance, the wider adoption of the domestic currency, the ZiG, and foreign currency exchange efficiencies.
In terms of agreeing on policies that would be put in place to enhance stability of the domestic currency, also deepen the forex market, and also make sure that the fiscal discipline is fully entrenched. So these were the main topics.
As Zimbabwe marks its fourth round under the staff monitored program, the government hopes that steady reform momentum will pave the way for debt restructuring and eventual access to full IMF support. From State House in Harare, Ibn Mabunda, ZTN Prime.
Now, Ibn Mabunda joins us live with more insights into the visit by the IMF team. Ibn, a very good evening to you. You were at State House. What were the key takeaways from the meeting today?
Well, good evening. This was pretty much a closed door session between the President, the IMF delegation and the Minister of Finance, Professor Mthuli Ncube, which was aimed at fostering macroeconomic stability for Zimbabwe. And some of the key pillars there had to do with an arrears clearance, which now sits at over 21 billion United States dollars, fiscal consolidation, and ensuring that government expenditure is pretty much kept in check. In the yesteryears, we saw government expenditure, of course, running into excesses, and once upon a time, Zimbabwe's treasury bills were in excess of 6 billion United States dollars, and so these were some of the issues that were being looked at, and with recommendations coming through from the IMF where exchange controls are concerned, the wider adoption of the domestic currency, the ZiG, its introduction into the market has been somewhat staggered with a tight liquidity stance employed by the central bank. Now, the IMF was speaking to the effect that there is need for a wider usage of the domestic currency, as well as a greater move toward a liberalization, of course, of foreign exchange where the markets are concerned. So these are some of the key takeaways from that particular meeting.
Now, Iban, you did mention debt arrears. How important is the subject of debt clearance to Zimbabwe's reform agenda, and has there been any progress so far?
Well, Zimbabwe has, over the past 18 months or so, come up with a high debt resolution that has been steered by the former Mozambican president, of course, His Excellency Joaquim Chissano, as well as the outgoing president of the African Development Bank, Akinwumi Adesina, which has been steered toward engaging multilateral lenders. At the same time, some token payments have been made to former farm owners with a figure of over 20 million United States dollars that's been allocated towards that. So Zimbabwe has been making strides or has been showing indications of seeking to address its debt, at the same time negotiating for a debt restructuring and for more comfortable lines of credit and more comfortable lines of debt repayment. But these have been efforts that the government has been making, as well as the IMF Staff Monitored Program. This is the fourth phase of engagement, re-engagement, and trying to come up with solutions that are tailor-made to addressing Zimbabwe's debt situation. So these are some of the initiatives that Zimbabwe has brought to the fore.
Oh, Iban, thank you so much for your insights as usual. That was Iban Mabunda, our Z10 correspondent, just speaking to us about the issue of debt clearance following the IMF meeting at State House. Now, from debt clearance, we zero in on traffic safety, with the Traffic Safety Council of Zimbabwe having opened tenders for the supply of evidential breathalyzers to be used on the country's roads. This comes after authorities recently revealed plans to introduce the new system to help curb road traffic accidents. Our correspondent, Lato Nyango, spoke to key stakeholders to get their reactions on the development.
Road accidents continue to claim lives in Zimbabwe, with the statistics from previous years revealing a grim picture. In 2024 alone, 2,015 people were killed from 52,288 accidents that were recorded. Most of these accidents have been attributed to reckless driving and speeding, among other factors. As the battle against road traffic accidents continues, authorities recently hinted on introducing breathalyzers to curb drunk driving. Now the process to implement this has just started, with the Traffic Safety Council of Zimbabwe this week inviting prospective contractors to tender for the purchase of alcohol evidential breathalyzers.
But we did not get a successful bid because the equipment tipper is not what is acceptable in terms of the current laws of Zimbabwe. So it's a re-tender tighter, and we're hoping that we will get somebody who will clinch it, and then we will award the tender. Because we believe that no contributor to accidents. That's where we come in.
Stakeholders, including transport operators, believe this will greatly reduce alcohol-related accidents on the country's roads.
We have got accidents that have been happening as a result of indiscipline, which actually emanates from drunkenness. We have seen some drivers driving under the influence of alcohol. So this move is a welcome move. We are going to see spot checks by the ZRP, and we urge the ZRP to conduct these tests at every roadblock all over the country, because alcohol itself is dominating the influence for drivers to overspeed. Definitely will actually reduce road carnage.
Motorists also share the same sentiments, arguing that it has become common for drivers to go behind the wheel while under the influence of alcohol and other substances.
Saka tikuti isusu polisi ngaiunze mabreathalyzer because inozi asichazikana kuti either tingati kana tomshikashika kana vechiba even kana nevamaofisi macho vari kungodhakwa vanenge mafriday saturday sunday vanhu vava neproblem hombe chaiwo kuti wana hawagona kudhiraivha tu kudhakwa saka isusu tiri kutoti aiwa mabreathalyzer pamberi nawo.
Touts, who are usually blamed for their behavior when it comes to accidents, have welcomed the introduction of breathalyzers as a good move to ensure safety on the roads. They, however, believe there are other factors contributing to accidents that also need to be addressed.
Mutemo wokuteswa aurambizwe mutemo wokuteswa ngawo vanhu ngawateswa asi pamwe pacho munazoonawo public sector vanhu ngawateswe zveshuwa makamani kwese uko vanhu vari kuteswa vabereki vanomwa vari mubhazi ndo wari problem madrivers asi problem nemaconductors vabereki vanomwa vari mubhazi vanenge vatiti vamwe vanotoona vasvika kumba kwavo.
Passengers have also weighed in, calling for stiffer penalties to those who are going to be found intoxicated when this new system is introduced.
Madriver akateswa kuti hana kudhakwa zvichireva kuti isu taufamba murodhi zvakanaka nekuti rufu rweduka rwangomaoko kuti tikangobheuka chete takutofa saka vanhu afa vakawandisa nekudhakwa kwemadriver.
Madriver yedu ngaateswe nokuti matsaona acho awandisa kazhinji vanenge vakatodhakwa uye kana isu tichipinda muno mubhazi zveshuwa vanotiita welcome asi kana tazowa muno
the introduction of breathalyzers is a step in the right direction. With the collaboration between passengers, transporters, and law enforcement, more lives can be saved. Latwo Nyangu reporting for ZTN Prime in Harare.
Well, you are watching Newsplus. We'll be back shortly.
Asilwela ukunqoba kuphela. Kepha silwela ukwakha isizwe esinohlonze. Sekunjalo.
The Phoenix Podcast has always brought you the best of the best.
I missed on that blessing, but I also regained it in some way.
In seasons 1 and 2, we introduced you to the industry's brightest stars, the ones at the top of their game, the creme de la creme. But season 3 promises to be even more exciting. We're bringing you even more fascinating guests, including the renowned farmer, Patrick Matadi. And to top it all off, our very own host, Ken Sharp, will be stepping out of the interviewer's chair and into the hot seat as he gets interviewed by a surprise guest host.
From the boss, we've been beaten, but we're not beaten yet. We can still rise.
Konapo Ipapo by ZTN Prime, DSTV channel 294, the place to be.
Welcome back. You are still watching Newsplus. Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, as Zimbabwe presses forward with economic recovery and formalization, a silent financial struggle brews in the shadows. For millions of informal traders locked out of the formal banking system, credit remains not just expensive, but sometimes dangerous. With high interest rates, no collateral, and urgent cash needs, many are falling into the hands of predatory lenders. Our business correspondent, Melissa Chachkolbo, explores the matter in greater detail.
The Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe has high interest rates at 35% to keep inflation in check and also stabilize the economy. But for the shadow banking sector, it's a different story. High rates mean more cash at the expense of citizens. Millions of Zimbabweans rely on the informal economy, with vendors, cross-border traders, and micro-entrepreneurs playing a vital role. However, operating in a cash-based, paperwork-scarce ecosystem, many find themselves paying the price for operating outside the formal system. Loan sharks, known locally as chimpanzee lenders or omashonisa, are thriving in the shadows, offering little to no paperwork, instant cash loans. But the cost is steep, with interest rates sometimes doubling the borrow amount.
Anyway, between 25% to 40%. She depends on what pani collateral here. Also, she doesn't know what Maria Kuninga say. What's the tamba to get on Musha?
Zimbabwe introduced microfinance institutions primarily to address the lack of access to financial services for the poor, marginalized, and informal sector businesses. But some have diverted from their mandate, taking advantage of this economy segment.
Because of that desperation, you find that some of the players will then take advantage of that desperation to charge high interest rates, knowing that definitely there will be someone out there who is willing to take up a loan from that trade.
As at 31 December 2024, aggregate banking sector loans and advances amounted to 55.9 billion ZiG, representing a 102% increase from 27.4 billion ZiG reported as at 30 June 2024. The banking sector continues to support the economy's productive sectors, which accounted for 72.25% of total loans as of 31 December 2024. Despite progress, Zimbabwe's interest rates remain high compared to those of regional peers.
If you compare the requirements of getting funding from a bank, one can conclude that they are generally more onerous than if you go to a loan shark. So the best way forward is for those who are going to loan sharks to start slowly building up on the requirements that are required by formal financial institutions.
So what can be done to protect the unbanked from predatory financing? Financial services providers share their insights.
Most financial institutions prefer immovable property as collateral. Working with the central bank, we have embarked on an initiative where we are also, or we have started to take movable property, motor vehicles and so on.
There is need to be stringent in terms of these loan sharks because they might be also the one that are driving the microfinances to charge high interest rates.
For now, Zimbabwe's informal economy continues to thrive, but at a painful cost. There is need for a solution to ensure that credit is a tool for growth, not a trap. Reporting for ZTM Prime, I'm Melissa Chatkobo in Harare.
Now, in other news, Stafazo Muguti, Permanent Secretary in the President's Office, has stated that the West is imposing its worldview on African youth through social media during the plenary session of the Russia-Africa Cooperation for Digital Sovereignty at the Global Digital Forum in Russia. Muguti added that Western sanctions have inadvertently become a stimulus for economic development in Zimbabwe.
One of the things which is there as well is we are a friend to all, enemy to none. But you need to start knowing that those who say openly we don't love you through sanctions, don't work with them. So we work with Russia, we work with Iran, we work with China, we work with people who have got a common purpose. But it doesn't need us to come to platforms like this. It means you need to start advocating inland and also understanding that Most young Africans today are being used with technology for regime change. Gone are the days when the West will come and throw bombs or whatever. They are using you, the young people, to hate your own leaders, your own fathers and mothers, because of the narrative. In Africa, it's called corruption. In America, it's called lobbying.
Now let's move to some consumer rights. The convergence of telecommunications and financial services has created ease of doing business for those with access to the tools of trade. However, some communities in Zimbabwe are yet to experience such transformation. Over the weekend, various stakeholders came together in Muzarabani to engage with the community on consumer rights and regulations mandate.
Digital technology is spurring financial inclusion around the world, enabling millions more people and businesses to join the global economy for the first time. However, rural communities often face challenges in understanding digital regulatory mandates and consumer rights due to limited access to information, technology, and education. This can lead to vulnerability in online transactions and digital services. Telecommunication companies have been instrumental in enabling person-to-merchant payments, and today they often collaborate with banks and financial institutions.
Zvikuru sei munharaunda dzatogara kuno kudziri kure nekuHarare tinosarira kumashure panyaya yeinformation netechnology uyezve tinoshayawo mamwe mafacilities akaita seinternet.
For Muzarabani townsmen who are still embracing these changes, frequent dissemination of such information is more vital.
Ndifunga kuti zvinhu zvichatireruke tikudzira kuti kana tichinge taita zvinhu zvakafanana izvozvo hatifanira kungoti pataenda. Tifanira kuti tichidzoka tichiexercise vachidzoka macompanies acho apura achidzoka community vachisedza nevanhu vanoziva kuti after a period ingave quarterly ingave monthly vachidzoka vachisenza nevanhu kwete kuti come after 5 years then you discuss with people you go for good.
The collaborative effort was aimed at educating communities, gathering concerns and addressing challenges brought by digital transformation.
So, in line with our Act, Section 6 of the Consumer Protection Act, it is important for us to move from one place to another, educating the consumers about their rights, so that at the end of the day, we have consumers that are informed.
RBZ has encouraged consumers to be cognizant of security risks that can compromise sensitive information when transacting online.
Ndipe number yenyu yekokeshi ndikutumire imari. Obva auya kuratidza imessage mufoni make kana kuti anokutumira imessage zvonzi mari yapinda mufoni menyu. Musati mamupa mbudzi yacho kana bhero redonje tapota tangai macheka balance yenyu. Message hongu yao ya mfoni asi kana kuti ndine $2 mfoni kana munhu anditumira $40 yembudzi ndinofanira kucheka ndoona kuti ndane $42.
This initiative unveiled various facilities set to benefit communities and promote the interest of consumers.
We promote and emphasize the importance of inclusivity, and we're here educating consumers on their rights, on their responsibilities, and also importantly educating them on data protection. I think, as you are aware, everything now rides on technology, and we have other important projects that are also being carried out by the Post and Telecommunications Regulatory Authority. For example, the tower relocation exercises, the e-learning projects, and the community information center. So we are urging consumers to take advantage of the facilities that are provided by Potras.
This multi-sectoral engagement is part of broader efforts to address complex challenges of digital transformation and innovation. It also ensures that digital platforms are sustainable and easily accessible. For ZTM Prime, I am Setachise Ogwaza in Muzarabani.
Now, as we continue into the month of June, Zimbabwe is slowly feeling the earnest onset of winter. Joining me now to break down the latest forecast is our weatherman, James Ngoma. James, good evening and thank you for joining us once again. What is the outlook for our winter season?
Thank you very much. We are expecting a slight decrease in our temperatures as we get towards the middle of June. So our temperatures should start sliding as of this week into the middle of June. And we expect our shortest day to be around the 21st of June this year. So our temperatures should slide. Compared to last year, we're expecting a cooler winter as we move into this winter.
Now, it is a Monday. We are going into the week. What is the weather expected to look like?
It's an interesting week this week because we've got two odds competing against each other. The first part of this week, we are more conscientizing the farmer to be aware of the ground frost that should occur as of tomorrow morning, especially over the southwestern parts of the country, covering areas such as Yomatebele and South, especially areas in Matopo, Kezi, as well as Gwanda areas. And we're expecting also this cold air that is drifting in from South Africa to also affect Masvingo province as well as parts of Matebele and north into the Lupane areas, where we're expecting also chances of frost. Gweru is also under that influence, so areas along the main watershed should be also influenced by that cold wind. Areas such as Marondera should be expected to get a bit of frost later on this week, but for the general public it should get cooler in the afternoons, especially on Thursday and Friday. We're expecting cooling winds to also affect us from the southeast. This should be coupled with clouds, so the clouds should suppress the influence of the sunshine during the daytime hours, so we should get more colder events as we get towards the end of the week.
Now, James, you did mention farmers. What is your advice to farmers now that we are in the winter season? Should they start planting now, or should they be looking at doing what exactly?
For the farmer, yes, winter farming is already in Sub, where most have already planted. Those that are into winter wheat, it's the perfect time as we're expecting a very cold winter this year. And for those into the horticultural produce, we speak of your day-old chicks, we speak of also the tomatoes and all that. They should always take cognizance of frost occurrence and also protect their crops as well as their livestock against such occurrences.
The National Blood Service of Zimbabwe has urged citizens to heed calls on the need for blood and plasma donations. Zimbabwe will join the rest of the world on the 14th of June to celebrate World Blood Donor Day. It is a day dedicated to expressing gratitude to voluntary unpaid blood donors for their life-saving contributions. National Blood Donation Service Zimbabwe has achieved 82% of last year's target, and they have set a higher target this time around.
This year we are targeting to collect 97,500 units of blood. It's actually a scale up from last year's target, where we wanted to collect 88,450. From that target of last year, we managed to collect 82% of that target, which was 77,020 units.
This year's campaign is Give Blood, Give Hope. Together we save lives. The objective of the campaign is to raise public awareness about the critical need for blood donations. The campaign also seeks to inspire sharing real stories of people whose lives have been saved through the initiative.
So far, just for the first half of this year, we have actually achieved about 73% of the target. We are on 73% of the target. So we are well on track. So all systems are working well. So it looks like we are well on track to achieve that target.
Now, Kimberly Chimbalanga gives us our courts and crimes update.
An Epworth man, Knowledge Saranje, has been charged with attempted murder after he stabbed his wife in the stomach. It is alleged that the two had a misunderstanding before the accused became violent. He was advised to approach the High Court for bail and to return to court on June 24, pending finalization of investigations. Moving on, a Harare man, Gwadla Sikongwane, allegedly hit a man he suspected of dating his wife with a stone. He suspected that the complainant was having an affair with his wife, and an argument ensued, leading to the assault. He was remanded in custody to June 10 for bail application. Still at the courts, a Harare man, Emmanuel Zemati, had his charges on 3 counts of armed robbery withdrawn after the state confirmed that he was not part of the robberies after they apprehended the actual perpetrators. The investigating officer stated that one of the witnesses, Andy Jenami, exonerated Zemati. Circumstances were that Zimati used violence and armed himself with a pistol and a knife before stealing cash amounting to $740. For TN Prime, I'm Kimberly Chimbalanga in Harare.
After the break, we give you news from beyond our borders. Stay with us.
Crowd goes absolutely emphatic. He has done it.
Get ready for more on Supersport, the only place to watch all the FIFA Club World Cup.
Catch exclusive interviews every weekday for candid, exciting and thought-provoking conversations with your host, Erika Ndoro.
We talk about arts, we can talk about sports, we can even talk about politics, and sometimes we venture into a nice guitaristic play.
The one story where you can't get out of your head. Wakatarisa munhu so Erika like where you are sitting. Ndozongokona bata face so pasina munhu.
Wakasiya music yako iyo afro chakuti ndo music manje yemuZimbabwe.
And I'm sure they're still saying the same thing now.
Yeah, so
Shona kana kuti Chindevere kana mumwe mutaure muno muZimbabwe ndiwe iwewe ndiwo rupawo rwako ndicho chidadiso chako.
Catch me, Erika Ndoro, right here on TN Prime every single Monday at 7 p.m. whilst we get exclusive.
Now we take you around the world and we start off in Chad, with N'Djamena residents having condemned US President Donald Trump's decision to impose a travel ban on Chad, describing it as deplorable. On Wednesday, Trump signed an executive order imposing a travel ban on nationals from 12 countries, including Iran, Libya, Yemen and Afghanistan, citing national security concerns. He stated that the measure was intended to prevent major foreign terror attacks on American soil. This is what some of the residents had to say.
Ça ne surprend personne, hein, connaissant Donald Trump dans ses sorties quelquefois contradictoires. Vous savez que les États-Unis, c'est un pays de droit, un pays de haute démocratie. Maintenant, si le président Trump se décide, n'est-ce pas, l'interdiction de certains pays d'entrer aux États-Unis, mais je crois que ça vient un peu altérer l'image de ce grand pays. Le droit international, je crois, couvre quand même, donne l'opportunité à l'individu de se balader un peu partout. Maintenant, si on dit que tel ou tel groupe de personnes ou tel pays, pour des raisons politiques, sont interdits, n'est-ce pas, d'entrer aux États-Unis, je crois que c'est assez grave et c'est assez limitatif.
In Nigeria, an environmental advocate, Michael Odenigbo, has set an unofficial Guinness World Record by planting over 25,000 moringa trees in a single day as part of a World Environment Day event. Odenigbo's ambitious goal was to plant 27,000 trees in a single day, aiming to break the current world record of 23,060 trees that is currently held by a Canadian national. Odenigbo hopes that the record attempt will inspire climate action, promote sustainability, and demonstrate the impact of individual contributions, especially in nations that are grappling with deforestation and climate threats.
Today, as you can see, we did a tree planting project which kicked off on World Environmental Day being yesterday, 5th of June. We planted I don't know how much we planted, but our aim was 27,000 trees. But we know that we surpassed from the record that we have already. We surpassed 25,000. So we have broken the record, and what is left now is for us to upload the evidences to Guinness World Record. The project is all about planting trees.
Over in Sudan, West Darfur's El Geneina market was bustling during the Eid al-Adha on Sunday as locals report a surge in trading activity, which they attribute to renewed stability and security across the state. Meanwhile, another local did note that despite the recent surge in market activity, purchasing power remains constrained due to the rise in the price of the franc. El Geneina, a city in Sudan's West Darfur state, lies approximately 1.2 kilometers west of the capital, Khartoum. The city is a crucial border crossing with Chad and other West African nations and is currently under the control of the Rapid Support Forces, RSF. Sudan has been grappling with dire conditions since fighting first broke out between the Sudanese army and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces in April of 2023.
السكان هنا أول الحركة التجارية فيه يعني 100%. لأنه الصورة زي ما بيقولوا بتحكي، يعني أنتم ممكن يكون لفيتوا السوق وعارفين الحاصل شنو. الصورة بتحكي. اثنين برضو يعني الوضع الأمني في الولاية يعني 100%. ما لأنه كل مواطني ولاية خارج دارفور حسوا بأن الأمن مسؤولية الجميع ومسؤولية المواطنين ومسؤولية الحكومة. عشان كده كلهم يعني أي زول شد الحمم بتاعته. وحاليا الامن شايفينه ده بجهود كل ابناء ولايه غرب دارفور. فالحاجه الثالثه برضه يعني زي ما شايفين الولايه حاليا عندنا اخواننا اللي هم نازحين.
Over in the United States, more than 1,000 protesters clashed and faced off with National Guard troops in downtown Los Angeles in the U.S. on Sunday during the latest demonstrations against immigration raids that swept across California over the weekend. The clashes followed a series of raids carried out by Immigration and Customs Enforcement and other federal law enforcement agencies at multiple locations in Southern California starting on the 6th of June, which has now sparked widespread protests.
People throwing rocks, they're trying to light up a cop car on fire. The police are responding by throwing tear gas. Yeah, on Friday, it was really bad. Like they just kept throwing tear gas, just pepper spraying the air, making sure they were hitting people. Like people were in the freeway, they were getting hit with like metal rods in the stomach to push them back. It was peaceful, I guess, but they're pushing it, I think.
They don't even know that are documented or undocumented. They're just grabbing people and like pulling them in vans. And that's like the scary thing about it. It creates a big fear, in the communities. So it's like I can come to like go to school, come back, and get a phone call and be like, my parents aren't here. Where are my parents? And then I have to keep on wondering, where are my parents? Where are my parents? Or my family, my relatives. And I get a phone call saying, oh, they took them. And that's something that I kind of like have in my mind the whole time.
Now we take you to Brazil. Now, since the United States raised tariffs on imported steel and aluminum to 50% on June 4th, Brazil's government and manufacturers have been pushing back, while small and mid-sized enterprises are already feeling the pressure. Brazil exports billions of dollars worth of steel and aluminum to the United States each year. Now, the government says the U.S. tariffs are misguided and unjustified, and officials warn that the impact on companies, both large and small, is already being felt across the industrial sector. Manufacturers say that their biggest concern now is rising competition at home, as international steel products, once destined for the U.S., are being redirected to other markets, including Brazil.
A gente percebe que haverá excedente de produção mundial, né, de todos os artigos, de todos os tipos de insumo, antes consumido pelos Estados Unidos, que agora vão disputar mercados em vários outros países.
And over in Israel's large-scale airstrikes on Beirut suburbs on Thursday evening wreaked havoc, destroying multiple residential buildings and leaving many civilians homeless. The attack came on the eve of the Eid al-Adha holiday, less than 2 hours after the Israeli army had issued an evacuation warning to residents in areas that it claims contain underground facilities used by Hezbollah for drone production.
هذا تفجير إرهابي ضد المدنيين هون العزل ما معهم شيء لا سلاح ولا شيء بس هيدي كذبة بيقولوا في سلاح وفي طيارات وفي ما بعرف شو هيدي كذبة هيدي يروحوا يفبركوا غير هالفبركة هيدي نحن شعب هون بنحب ثقافة الحياة وبنحب كل البشر وكل العالم برا.
We talk data compliance when Newsplus comes back with business.
The Phoenix Podcast has always brought you the best of the best.
I missed on that blessing, but I also regained it in some way.
In seasons 1 and 2, we introduced you to the industry's brightest stars, the ones at the top of their game, the creme de la creme. But season 3 promises to be even more exciting. We're bringing you even more fascinating guests, including the renowned farmer, Patrick Matadi. And to top it all off, our very own host, Ken Sharp, will be stepping out of the interviewer's chair and into the hot seat as he gets interviewed by a surprise guest host.
From the boss, we've been beaten, but we're not beaten yet. We can still rise.
Konapo Konapo, Ipapo, Bazetian Prime, DSTV channel 294, the place to be.
Didn't graduate. I guess I blew it.
You couldn't advise him anything. He would just look at you and say, so who do you think you are?
We were just like really spoilt.
And then they just give me the receipt and I'd pay.
That guy walks in one day and then he says that he wants to make a movie.
He was blowing the money.
There was just like this habit that he had where as soon as he got money, it was gone.
I just didn't have the skills or the experience.
This money, I could see it disappear so fast.
Oh, welcome back. You are still watching Newsplus. Now, in a look at business news tonight, Zimbabwe's telecoms regulator, POTRAS, will be decentralizing the data protection officer training to encourage data controller compliance. POTRAS Director General Dr. Gift Machengete says this will reduce cases of data breaches.
You will see that the next trainings are going to be in other cities. The next is going to be Blue Whale, actually. Then thereafter we will be doing it in other cities as well. So yes, we are going to be doing that. In terms of sensitization, we have already started going out there, not only in Harare, but out in the other areas as well. So sure, training is going to be decentralized.
The regulator has emphasized the importance of protecting data and compliance to all their stakeholders. The institution says they will continue to assist companies to comply with data protection laws, but penalties for non-compliance will be introduced next year.
We are actually encouraging those who have not yet come up for licensing that they be licensed. This is a mandatory act. But for us, what we are trying to do is to make sure that everyone is properly licensed and data is properly protected. So we are not rushing to go into penalizing those who have not yet been licensed. We are trying to encourage them. We are trying to go along with them, walk along with them, assist them where they may find it difficult to, to understand or whatever. We want to assist so that there is compliance. At the end of the day, what matters is compliance, because compliance will also assist us in reducing breaches, data breaches, which obviously has got implications in terms of cyber security itself. So we are encouraging them to be licensed. However, when we get to next year, which is 2026, having done everything possible to ensure that everyone is on board, we will then start, penalizing.
Still in business, Zimbabwe's gold deliveries to Fidelity Gold Refinery rose 27.6% year-on-year in May of 2025, reaching 3,488 kilograms, up from 2,734 kilograms the previous year. But deliveries dipped 9.5% month-on-month from April's 3,854 kgs. Small-scale miners contributed 2,552 kgs, down 12.8% from April, while large-scale producers saw a slight 0.91% rise, though still 11% lower year-on-year. Now, despite the dip, annual growth remains strong, largely powered by artisanal miners. Mining expert Munashe Gutu says this highlights the urgent need for legal reforms to formalize and safeguard small-scale operations while ensuring compliance and sustainability.
The relevant authorities, in particular the Ministry of Mines and Mining Development, together with other relevant stakeholders such as the Environmental Management Authority, need to ensure that artisanal and small-scale miners also comply with environmental requirements or environmental regulations. And there is also need for the ministry to offer support to artisanal and small-scale miners in terms of training, so that their activities will not result in so many casualties as we have noted over the past 6 months, where we have noted that there have been some instances of injuries on various small-scale mining sites. And there's also a need for the government of Zimbabwe to ensure that artisanal and small-scale miners also have equal access to capital.
In some retailing news, OK Zimbabwe Limited has issued a further cautionary statement indicating that discussions regarding a proposed $30 million capital raise are now at an advanced stage and nearing finalization. This significant equity raise aims to restore working capital, honor supply commitments, and fund strategic refurbishments and digital upgrades across the retailer's network. In a cautionary notice, the board has advised shareholders and the investing public to exercise caution when trading the company's shares. The capital call follows a January 2025 position statement in which OK Zimbabwe reviewed the closure of 5 branches in Harare as well as Bulawayo. Now, the Warriors face Niger on Tuesday, but how prepared are they? We zone in on that preparedness when we take a look at sports.
Didn't graduate? I guess I blew it.
You couldn't advise him anything. He would just look at you and say, so who do you think you are?
We were just really spoiled.
And then they just give me the receipt and I'd pay.
The guy walks in one day and then he says that he wants to make a movie.
He was blowing the money.
There was just this habit that he had where as soon as he got money, it was gone.
I just didn't have the skills or the experience.
This money, I could see it disappear so fast.
They call me Racer X, or in this case, Racer J. All right.
Put your seatbelt on.
And now we're taking a look at some sporting action. The Warriors are back in action on Tuesday when they face Niger in their second friendly match of the FIFA international break in Casablanca, Morocco. After losing their first friendly 2-0 to Burkina Faso on Saturday, Warriors coach Michael Nees wants his players to improve on their concentration, especially at the start of the match.
We need to be more alert at the beginning. We need to be more concentrated at the beginning. We will change a little bit our routine from time management up to warming up. We definitely have to improve that. And I think that's something which we have to focus on. We have also, of course, to have more, how can I say, more accuracy and finishing. We had a few very good scoring opportunities towards the end, but even in the first half, a little bit more determination, more courage, and a little bit more accuracy. Sometimes that can help to get a better result.
The friendlies are part of the Warriors' preparations for the World Cup qualifiers as well as the AFCON finals in Morocco later this year. Nees says he will continue with his approach of giving players as much game time as possible.
We have about 12 players here, which I have for the first time with me or who never played for the national team. And I think 7 rookies at all. Yeah. And tomorrow they will come again, the one or other gets its chance, and we integrate them. That was discussed even before the camp with the one or other player, and it was clear before irrespective of the result. Our mission here is to enlarge the pool of players. We're missing around 8 to 10 first choice players. Most likely 6 to 7 starters, tomorrow maybe even more. And it's very important, we need to prepare ourselves for such a situation in case you have injuries in November, December, key player injuries, or you have a dip in shape, a dramatic dip in shape, or a suspended player in the tournament. We need to have this group enlarged. That was our mission here.
Still in sport, Zimbabwe Women's Premier Soccer League defending champions Rentals Queens have sent a strong warning to their title rivals, reaffirming their intention to hold on to the crown. The squad has strengthened in all departments as they prepare for a second stint in the African Safari this August.
Rentals Queens kept the pace with log leaders Chapungu Queens after a comprehensive 9-0 victory over Red Buffaloes at Gwanzura over the weekend. The win put them level on 24 points with Chapungu in what is turning out to be a tight race for league glory. Rentals Queens have won the title for the past 3 seasons in a row, while Chapungu is the only other side to claim honours after winning the inaugural Heart tournament last season. The team has been in dominant form since snatching the title from Black Rhinos Queens in 2023 and now have set their sights on success in the CAF Women's Champions League COSAFA qualifiers after dominating the domestic scene. The Queens have since beefed up their squad to ensure adequate depth for the campaign.
Our squad comprises of 30 players, so all 30 players are equal. So everyone got an opportunity, everyone plays. And also we have got new players, so they are coming in, so gelling with the old players. So everyone must play, everyone is capable. That is what we are happy with.
Last year, they made their COSAFA debut in an impressive run that ended in the semi-finals. This time around, they are determined to go the distance at the tournament, which is set for August.
Last year, it was just we just wanted to go and see how it is done in CAF Champions. So for this year, we know that it is possible for us to clinch the title and come back home with it. For this year, I know we can do it, and I believe in ourselves that we are going to pick from where we left and go to the finals and bring back home with the title.
For the coach, the COSAFA tournament is a chance to not only get exposure, but measure their progress against the best in the region and a chance to qualify for the CAF Women's Champions League.
We rectify where we went wrong, and now we want to correct it as much as we can. But as for now, the preparations are going well. The girls are responding, goals are coming. They are playing football and they are doing everything to get us points, which is a good thing.
The Zimbabwe Women's Premier Soccer League is in full swing, with competitive sides rising to the occasion to challenge the dominance of Oriental's Queens and Black Rhinos Queens, who have shared the last 6 league titles between themselves.
Greenfield midfielder Ronald Chillio has given credit to his coach Torai Mangwiro for helping him adapt to a new role at a later stage of his career. Chillio is joint top scorer at Greenfield despite switching into a deeper role this season. We get more in this report.
Ronald Chillio continues to age like fine wine and is showing no signs of slowing down if the first 14 games of the season are anything to go by. Known for his technical ability and attacking prowess, Chillio has settled well at Greenfield, hitting 3 goals from deep in midfield to help the Chisumanje side to 11th position on the log standings. Chillio joined the side from Malawian giants Nyasa Big Bullets to add Greenfield to a club list that includes Dynamos, Caps United and Simba Bora among others, as well as national team caps. With his trademark pace waning, Mangwiro has been deploying Chillio as a deep-lying playmaker. It is a transformation that has improved the team's control of matches, and Chillio has repaid that faith with assured performances.
Me, he's more than a coach, he's my mentor from day one. I think I started working with him when I was 19, and now I'm 33, but I still have belief in like other coaches they started to doubt me, especially here in Zimbabwe. When you get to 30 years and above, people just say he's old, but he's the one.
Chillio has won several titles, including the league championship, and has naturally become a leader at the ambitious Greenfield side.
This season, we have 3 cups. We league, we Zifai, we have a lot of Chillio. I think we have to cup. It's not advantage, especially the cup. You game Rongota Bomsilva to pay themselves.
Despite his obvious talent, Chillio has not been immune to criticism, but continues to take it in his stride.
Samanje munakatanga kunzi vamwe vakatanga kuwerenga newspaper mu 24 achiwerenga newspaper machinzi wasitara kusa he thinks kuti ndakumuona futi 2025 achingorimo mufootball nasi this guy vamwe haapa sisina iripo.
In a fast-changing environment, Chillio has stepped up as a reminder that class is permanent and shares some secrets behind his longevity.
Some players they take drugs. Me, I don't take even any alcohol. I'm alcohol free. When you get to 30s, it's training and recovery. It's not about training only, it's not about recovery. So once I balance training and recovery.
In just their 3rd season in the Premier Soccer League, Greenfield have big ambitions, and the presence of experienced campaigners like Chillio has helped to keep the belief alive as they fight for consistency this season.
In some rugby action, St. George's College continued their good start to schoolboy rugby season with a nail-biting 34-33 win over Lomagandi College on Saturday. The Saints, along with Peterhouse, remain unbeaten after week 3, with the Kings maintaining their unbeaten run courtesy of a 31-30 win over Falcon College in Escondini. Elsewhere, St. John's College thrashed Hellenic Academy 33-0. CBC beat Eaglesville 37. Kyle were 29-20 winners over Watershed. Prince Edward had a big 75-15 win over Hillcrest. Mutare Boys High edged Ellis Robbins 17-14. Heritage beat Ridings 31-20. And Wise Owl won 31-5 over Plumtree. And that's all we had for you on Newsplus this Monday evening. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Faith Nyaude. We leave you with a forecast. Good evening and enjoy the rest of your viewing.
Quem cultiva a semente do amor segue em frente, não se apavora. Se na vida encontrar de sabor, vai saber esperar a sua hora. Às vezes a felicidade demora.